What is going on today? This is Drawdown King, by the way. Drawing down an account today. Hence the name. Gonna be doing this. I used to do a podcast under, I haven't done that in quite some time. See if there's any interest in that kind of shit. Talking some about the market, but not really. I'm not going to have charts out. It's going to be freaking podcast. So it's going to be a podcast to listen, to think about. I know there's trading psychology and trading analysts and trading this and that and the other and whatever. So maybe we'll relate to trading. Maybe we'll relate to other things, right? Other things. Today, though, let's go ahead and take a look. What's going on here, by the way? So we're on the way for a hike to get the blood going. Haven't hiked much in about a week or so. Not really feeling that great. Didn't like the market conditions. Sorry about that. Didn't like the market conditions. Hadn't felt that great in about a week overall. It's been hit or miss, but had a chop day there yesterday. Perfect. Love that chop day. Everybody's complaining. Chop days are the best. Who doesn't like a good support resistance day? Damn. Fine as wine, support resistance days. These ones where you're always continuously breaking the lows. We're going to all-time highs. I mean, to me, that's just bullshit. Maybe if you got in, way down yonder or way up yonder or whatever. Just not a fan. So, wasn't feeling that great. Had some different shit happen today. My mood was off a little bit as well. But I'm just saying, what's your strengths, what's your weaknesses? I went in with that shit, and I just went in with that shit and just wasn't. It wasn't the right mood, the right circumstance, the right market, and I went in and I just blew a $50K account. Obviously, I don't really care too much about that. But I had chances to get out. There's no, if you're playing it the same way every time, I had chances to get out, and I didn't get out. I hesitated. And it's just one of those things you get in your head, and you're like, I got to get revenge. I'm mad. I don't like this. So if it takes you a $15 discount account, $20 account, just to get some shit out of your system, go for it. Blow the account, blow a $15 combine or something. Who cares? But you got to get serious about some of them, whether they're $15 or $14 or $10 or $4.50. Sometimes it's hard to differentiate between make-believe, paper money, and reality, real money, and the little tidbits and breadcrumbs in between. Sometimes it's tough to get a feel for disparities between them, the emotions, the insight, the premonition. Something's not your trading style, but you do it anyways, and the outcome most likely when you get into a trade under certain market conditions that you either don't trade well, you just perform poorly, your mental capacity just isn't there, you get nervous and panicked, or you get lethargic and lazy. You just, let's see what happens here. Well, you can see what happens all you want. See what happens here, see what happens there, see what happens everywhere. You end up seeing what happens so many times, then what happens becomes the spectacle. You know, you gotta see what happens. Let's just see what happens here. What else? I mean, got to clean the windshield here. But let's just see what happens. You know, you sort of know what's going to happen. If I don't do this, this could happen, that could happen. Well, let's just see what happens. Why don't you think about what could happen and make a planned, educated decision based on what could happen, not see what's going to happen. When you see what's going to happen, it's a coin toss. We can see what's going to happen. It's going to come down. I'm going to profit. It's going to see what's going to happen. I'm going to lose a lot. There's two circumstances: is make big or lose big or cut my big winner short. Just going to see what's going to happen here. I hear that so many times. Just see what's going to happen. Pretty observant to not have more input into your own trades than just chance. You can see what's going to happen, but can you make an educated guess based on the data, levels, chart movements, these types of things? You gotta have a lot of foresight, but also you gotta know when and certain things and certain days aren't gonna work the best for you. But then sometimes certain other things happen, and sometimes, like if you have multiple eval accounts, if you're running evaluation accounts on a futures or other prop firm, you got a couple and you use one as a dummy decoy. Sometimes I'll do that. That worked out sort of okay today. I dummy decoyed, blew an account, and then made a pretty decent chunk of that back on another one, which I was already ahead of, was already ahead of the game, was already moving on up. And that's just what that was. That was a moving up on up moment. And we're going to progress and made better progression on that one than we have in the past. So, see what happens. It is a Wednesday tomorrow. Hopefully another big news today. CPI this, CPI that. It's just a way to screw over the market and take and steal the most money from people. It's news out. No, news didn't do shit. You just let the algos go crazy today. There's certain days where they let the algos just go freaking crazy, man. You just crazy. The algos are going ballistic, nuts, and they justify it by saying it's the news. The news isn't doing anything. There's nothing that's happening. There's something that, this number, that number. It's just a way for them to unleash the massive algos. Like last week, they unleashed them. You get towards all-time highs. We got to take that all-time high out. We got to take that all-time high out again. All-time highs, all-time highs, all-time highs. You got to take that all-time high out again. So, all-time highs again and again and again. And you got to get not only immune to that, but you got to know when it's most benefits your strengths to play when you get extreme outside ranges. How do you do when there's a movement on the market that's far to one side or the other, the upside or the downside, but not only beyond normal moves, but how extended is that? I mean, is that 1%? Has the market already moved 1%, 1.5%, 2% before you even got a trade? You know, you don't want to go in the direction of that market, maybe, but you may not want to go against it. And then you got to sort of get a feel for really what's going to happen, right? A feeling for what's going to happen, what kind of things may transpire, what kind of options or opportunities may lie ahead for you, what kind of benefits are there for you trading on certain days, and what kind of style. I mean, do you have a couple different styles of trading? Is there a few different type of things that you do? Do any of those things sort of match up what's going on with the market today based upon previous days, previous data? And however you get the data, whether you print it out, whether you map it out, analyze it, you just remember it. You got to remember what happens on days like that and what kind of outcomes normally happen from things like position sizing. Are you positioning? Should you position smaller? Should you not trade at all? I know that's sometimes it can be, not doing a trade at all. Sometimes that's the best option when you see things like that, when it goes too far outside of your range. Not gonna trade at all. That can happen. Or you're going to trade very moderate, conservative, extra small, super small. I mean, if you're used to trading 2 or 3 contracts, would you possibly trade 5 micros, half a lot of micros? Well, 5 micros, so a half a full size lot. Basically, is that something that should be done? Is there something different you should do? Is there some different opportunities that lie there? Is it a day to paper trade, to analyze, to look at other things, to look at other markets? So there's a whole host of things on big news days. There's always going to be the big winners. There's going to be the big losers. There's going to be challenges. There's going to be people cheering, people crying, people, a lot of sadness, a lot of misery, a lot of happiness. A lot of anxiety, a lot of pressure, a lot of depression. I mean, these are all things that happen all the time, but you got to be aware of what kind of market conditions you excel in or you have the advantage. If you don't have an advantage in a certain market, it's tempting to trade that news. It's tempting to trade that big range day. It's tempting to do this or that. But you got to get to a point where you can't let that shit bother you. And you just got to, be in the zone and be forward facing and manage your risk appropriately. If that means taking days off in a time, multiple days a week off, scaling down, exploring other markets, exploring other opportunities, looking at other ways to make money, other trading vehicles and instruments. So there's things to take away anytime you have something like that. But hopefully it's helpful. Just like I said, I blew that account today. Cut the video short just because I got involved in some other work there, so I didn't want to get all my other work going on the screen. But I'll go back and I'll shorten that, cut that down and then we will repost it, the short and condensed one. So have a great night. I think it's DrawDown King.